So I got served today at the pharmacy.
Sir, what in the did I miss the circus is going on right now? What in the my eyes are up here
My eyes are up here.
are you trying to do to people?
And I'm not saying men can't look like this.
You are saying men look like this because, surprise, you are a man and you're looking like that.
Because please go off, kings. But like, I'm not doing damage to masculinity.
I'm not worried about you doing damage to masculinity. Masculinity is going to be masculinity no matter what you do with yourself. What I am worried about, and what I will be very vocal about, is that this hurts actual trans people. Whether or not this person realizes it or wants to acknowledge it, this person really is making it hard for actual trans people to be taken seriously. You look like the kind of person that's probably always complaining about the right.
So the right, who's famously terrified of trans people harming their children,
And what's going on in politics and trans people losing rights. You are the reason, sir, that trans people are losing rights. Don't worry about what the Republicans are doing. Worry about what you are doing to hurt the trans cause.
I think y'all are when you sir me.
It's natural to call you sir because you clearly are a sir.
When you call me a man, right? Like, I'm not a man.
No matter what you do to yourself, you are going to be a man. You are a man, sir.
Don't consider me for the pool of men. And maybe the people who are like, oh, masculinity is in decline, will stop thinking I'm doing anything with it.
I don't know who's talking about masculinity being in decline like that. You may have this idea that you are changing masculinity or you are changing femininity. Neither of those things are changing because a person like you decides to be the bearded lady. The bearded lady has been part of circus sideshows for years and years and years. And guess what? You're not actually a lady, so you're not even a bearded lady. All you are is a man with a beard who's decided to get on female hormones and now has grown breast.
I'm not part of that equation. Count me out.
What's up, everybody? Ty Rivera here, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world. Before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to comment, just to help me on the algorithm, but you don't know what to comment, just leave a knife, because I'm sure some happy weirdo is going to hit me up and try to come for my neck. But people like this, they really do piss me off. And yes, I will, by the end of this video, explain exactly why I get so upset with people like this. But I did a little more digging instead of just reacting to the first video. If you don't know, that first video has gone viral now. I'm not sure where all it got posted, but it definitely has made the rounds and has, of course, pissed people off and made people believe, once again, that this is an idea of what an actual trans person is, when it's really not. So let's watch a little more.
Some people ask me what my life goal is. Isn't it the same as everyone else's? Trigger as many bisexual awakenings as possible.
I don't really think that's what you're doing. I hate to burst your bubble, but I don't know a lot of people, and I do know people from all over the spectrum that would find you particularly attractive. You are basically a lame guy that probably was given a name like Paul at birth, and you, Paul, otherwise were getting no attention, basically an incel, and then you decided you were going to turn into something that would actually get you some attention. But the truth of the matter is, this will be fun for a little while for some people to be like, oh, check out this freak on the internet. And you'll do damage to the trans community, like I said, and then you'll fade off into obscurity, having done damage to a cause that you're going to claim to really stand for, to really love. Oh, I'm part of the trans community. No, you're not. You're not part of the trans community. And if you ask me, you're not part of the LGBTQ community either. You are truly a disservice to whatever it is you're trying to represent. This is the kind of person that will at some point end up demanding access to female spaces like female locker rooms, women's bathrooms. And I can't help but be bothered by these kinds of people, because these kinds of people really do reinforce the stereotypes that a lot of people have right now about trans people. A lot of the general public thinks that trans women are all autogynephiles, which is not the case. There are trans people that truly do suffer with gender dysphoria. This person clearly does not have gender dysphoria. This person just wants to be something different. This person just wants to be something notable. And no matter what they do, they're always going to be that same Paul that they've been their entire life. It's just they lie to themselves and they're like, oh, I'm something different. No, a man with tits is not that different. We've all met men with tits. A lot of them have let themselves go and they've got tits. But you are not part of some exclusive club. I mean, like, videos like this do nothing to help anybody.
Listen, I'm not normally in the business of making rules, but if you find any of this hot, no matter who you are, you're gay.
That's not necessarily true because I'm gay and I find nothing about this attractive or amusing.
So a couple things first to all the new followers and all the people who left such beautiful compliments and comments on my last video. Thank you so much. I didn't think that I would ever be someone's gender inspiration when I began this journey. And it's incredibly heartwarming to hear that I can be simply by being visible. I mean, that's what it's all about, right? Next thing real quick, I more made that last video to talk about misgendering, particularly intentional misgendering and how illogical it is for people who gatekeep masculinity the most to let me through that gate, right? Like, in what world am I meeting the definition of man in their minds?
By being a man. I don't know why you're trying to overcomplicate it, and you really are the reason that people keep saying that the LGBT community, and more specifically trans, is not based in reality. You are perpetuating a stereotype. No matter how you want to dress it up or what kind of crop top you want to put it in, you really are literally the problem.
They're kidding themselves just because I have a beard.
No, it's not just about the beard. It's the fact that you have a beard, a penis, and also male chromosomes. You are all the way around male. There is nothing female about you. Don't lie to yourself. This is why gatekeeping is necessary in the LGBT community. As much as everybody wants to act like, oh no, it's a rainbow and we all just get to be what we want. Yeah, you can be whatever you want, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're helping the community in any way or that you're doing anything other than just trying to draw attention to yourself for the sake of drawing attention to yourself. I get it. As Paul, you were an invisible person. You were a man that nobody paid attention to. And then you devised this plan to try to act like you're bucking gender norms when we've all seen queens like you before. In the community, this is not a new thing. You're basically doing drag during the day is what you're doing. And you just want the extra step of getting hormones. And so really it's old hat, it's tired, and it's played is what it is.
Second, I know I'm confusing. I don't hold that against people if they misgender me.
Maybe because they're not misgendering you. They really are hitting it right on the head when they call you a man. I don't know why that's so hard to accept. And I don't know why people like you, because it is people like this, that will usually call a person like me a self-hating gay man. No, a self-hating gay man does this to themselves because nobody cares otherwise. So they have to pull stunts like this in order to have anybody give them a second look.
And especially if I don't correct them. That's a whole different subject. But I did mention an honorific at the beginning of that video, and it kind of spun comments and discourse into gender neutral honorifics and what I prefer. So let's talk about that. Okay, so which honorific do I prefer? And honestly, neither, right? Like, just drop them all together. How can I help you? Or excuse me, they work just fine. And I completely understand that the service industry requires sometimes that people use one of the two gendered honorifics that exist in our vocabulary. But they're also like not the most useful. Like, if there's literally just one man next to me in a lobby, coming out and addressing the room as sir does not specify which one you're talking to. In fact, I'm gonna assume you're talking to that guy.
We've been using these honorifics, sir and ma'am, forever now. And all of a sudden, they've become confusing. How have we been getting by all these years, sir? You are really trying to gaslight us into believing that because you want to be seen as something different, because you want to be addressed as something different, that suddenly now, the way that we've been doing things the whole time is an inefficient way of doing things. No, actually, you are the stick in the spokes. And no, I don't don't really think that we should have to accommodate people like you that clearly are just trying to be confusing for the sake of confusing. If you ask me, all of society should completely ignore people like you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do after I make this video, because this person truly does represent a point for me, because I've seen what my friends have gone through just to not be treated like freaks. And then you have people like this come along that definitely do want to be treated like freaks and put themselves under the same umbrella as the people that have been just trying to live their lives without having to deal with discrimination.
But this is also why I don't really like hold a grudge or anything about people who use that for me. What I find to be the best gender neutral option though is friend, right? Like, sure, if I'm a clerk working the desk, not everyone I talk to is my friend, but I am friendly to them, right? And I think that friend implies like a kind of respect that is more mutual, as opposed to sir or ma'am, which implies like a weird power dynamic.
When you talk about a weird power dynamic, I don't know where you're getting this, because when I call somebody sir or ma'am, yeah, I am showing them a certain amount of respect, but I don't look at it as a power dynamic and now they're above me. And when people refer to me as sir, I do not now feel like I am somehow better than them because they are referring to me as sir and showing me just regular respect. I don't know where you're getting this idea that all of us attach the same value to these things that you apparently have attached to them.
That I think that like a lot of millennials and younger already feel ick about. That's kind of why I have disdain for them, gender completely aside.
Already feel ick about? Let's be honest. You can dress like a girl all you want, but trying to be like, oh, they feel ick. Bitch, don't try it.
Like, I kind of just want them to fade away. If I could just wave a magic wand though, I'd have everyone address me as love like the Brits do. I grew this so I wouldn't be perceived as a woman.
Okay, I don't know what kind of bird this is right now, but I'm not comfortable.
And I grew these so I wouldn't be perceived as a man. And if that confuses or upsets you, mission complete. But if it doesn't, mission accomplished.
Oh no, mission complete, because it does upset me. And this is a video where I really feel like he makes my point in what it is I'm saying.
So I'm excited about my name change and gender marker, which I'm doing after the election because I don't want any shenanigans happening with my ballot. But, I mean, I'm struggling
Clearly.
with my gender marker because this is not M. I am not M.
You really are M. You're a male. You're a man. And I don't even know why the state you're in is allowing you to change your gender marker when you clearly aren't struggling with dysphoria. You don't have what it necessitates to even need a change to your gender marker. You're just doing it for fun.
But I'm not serving F.
You're not serving anything. The term serving actually comes from serving, giving something. Letting the kids have it is what they used to say. And no, that had nothing to do with actual kids. That meant the gay kids. That meant the other gays in the clubs. You were serving. You are not serving anything. You look like shit, bitch. That's what it is. You literally look like shit. You have never served anything in your life unless you worked at a restaurant and were serving food.
Like, I'd be okay with F. It's not M, but I'm not giving F. And X is great. I love X. Sign me up. But that outs me immediately on paperwork.
You are outing yourself just by looking like you look. I don't know if you feel like you're passable in any way. Anybody that looks at you is just like, yeah, that's a man with tits. That's why they call you sir.
And if a cop pulls me over and sees like anything but M, am I gonna get hate crimed? Like, why do driver's licenses even need a gender marker on them? Something I'm struggling with.
Okay, driver's license need your sex on them. There are functional reasons for that, as far as if you are in an accident and all they have is your license to look at. There are biological differences such as heart rate between men and women that would be necessary in assessing a situation that you might be going through medically if you've been in an accident, if the paramedics need to know certain things about you. And being able to change your gender marker was originally just intended for transsexual disabled people, in part for the reason that you mentioned, because there are certain discriminations that they could face when dealing with law enforcement officials or trying to get jobs. When I was younger, trans women had no choice but to be in S work because they weren't able to get regular jobs. What would happen was they would try to get a job, then they'd go in for the interview, everything would be cool. Then when it came to their ID, they would look and see that the ID still said M on it, but they had this woman sitting in front of them as far as they knew, and that would allow for people to be discriminatory because now they knew that this person that otherwise they would have just hired as a woman was actually born male, and society wasn't willing to accept that. So really, you are hurting any cause that you pretend to represent or you pretend to stand for. And if you're saying that this is just about you, I think it's extremely selfish that you would hurt a community that has tried so hard to fly under the radar and just have the same rights as everybody else. And I know some people are going to get mad at me and say all trans women are men. Yes, all trans women are definitely male. And I always make the distinction between trans women and real women. I have no problem with that distinction. But as a person that's had trans friends my entire adult life, when I see things like this, it definitely does upset me because I know how hard my friends have worked to be able to be treated like everybody else. And yes, changing their gender marker on their ID can be helpful in facilitating that. And that's why people like this really should take a long, hard pause and think about what it is they're doing and how they're affecting other people in a community that they probably would verbally claim to love. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. As always, this has been Ty Rivera, the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world.
They bought into his bullshit.